Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we discuss a model launched in 2022 that represented the first complicated timepiece by young Berlin watchmaker Felipe Pikullik. So the watch in my hand, the Mondphase 1, a watch designed as a moonphase built on the architecture of a high-grade 6498 base in a case made of stainless steel. Now the timepiece is 41 millimeters in diameter, 10.5 millimeters thick, and 50.5 from lug tip to lug tip with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. What's fascinating about this watch is just how thin it is, and that's one of the advantages of a manual wind timepiece. It is broad, however, across the wrist, so I'd recommend it for a wrist of my size or larger, so 16 centimeters circumference and up. Take down the barrel, over the top, the cuff shot. All right. Now the strap, as you can see, Alex Crown by Jean Rousseau, very high grade. It's rubber lined, and then on the top side we have alligator leather in a lovely honey brown with a contrasting stitch that is gray to match the dial. Of course, Jean Rousseau does the OEM straps for, among others, De Bethune and F. Journe, so only the best right here. You can see we've got pull tab spring bars, so we can pop the strap off the case without using tools. And then we have a Felipe Pikullik branded pin buckle, which is a simple affair. The case is handsome. It has stepped lugs, a nod to Lunga, vertical satination, an unusual treatment that might be a nod to Chrono Swiss. And then we have this sort of concave profile to the lugs themselves, which are polished on their sides and their top. The bezel is polished and rounded and minimalist, and then the crystal is almost completely flat. We have a Felipe Pikullik logo in the crown. And then the dial is quite attractive. As you can see, there's a lot going on here. The timepiece features the optional Roman numerals on the outboard track. You could also get Arabic, Eastern Arabic, Breguet style, but this watch was specified with Roman numerals. And fascinatingly, it does not include a watchmaker's 4. It actually has a Roman numeral 4. You could see that this is hand engraved, made in Berlin by the man whose name is on the dial. The moonphase, 1/2 coated in black rhodium, 1/2 coated in white rhodium to create contrast. And it's actually slightly thicker than the movement itself, which you can see as you glance through the reverse and then the frontal aspect. You can see the watch features a delicately blasted and blackened dial that's been partially skeletonized, as you can see, around the mechanism that underpins the moonphase as well as the moonphase itself. What's fascinating is, if you've ever wondered how Felipe Pikullik is a German watchmaker in spite of the name, well, he is actually of Brazilian ancestry. His parents immigrated to Germany, and they arrived in the 1990s from Brazil. So in tribute to his Brazilian heritage, the moonphase actually portrays the moon as viewed from the southern hemisphere. Now, getting a quick look at the mechanism, this is entirely handmade. All the parts of the moonphase complication on this watch on both sides are entirely scratch built by Felipe, and you can see that it is a handsome portrayal. The way this works is you roll it through midnight and it adjusts, then you roll it back and then you roll again through midnight. So it's a little bit like an old caliber 11 date. You remember the old Hoyer caliber 11, that sort of sawing back and forth, the ratcheting action to advance the date. This uses the same kind of ratcheting action as you back the hour hand about to 9 p.m. and then through midnight again and again to adjust in the quickest method possible the moonphase. And you can see here the mechanism itself is quite nicely made. All the parts are quite accomplished. The dial is blackened and media blasted. You can see how the track outboard has all been mirror polished and then pinned, which is a beautiful way of affixing the track. And you can see the hands are alpha style and half frosted for better contrast against the dial base. We'll flip it all over that you can't see it. The watch is rated 50 meters water resistant. There's no external signage, but such is the case. A lot going on in this case back. So it is obviously based on the 6498-2, and I say the 98-2 because it's a 3 hertz rather than a 2.5 hertz, and it's a 50-plus hour power reserve rather than 42. So what I should mention is that Pikullik has variously listed the power reserve of this watch as 50 hours and 56 hours. So in the absence of a definitive declaration, the paperwork with the watch says 50. I'm not going to promise more than 50, though a 6498-2 would have a 53 to 56 hour power reserve. Now, it also features dramatically elaborated parts, so if you think this is just an Bausch, think again. A lot of work went into this, and you could see it's self-evident. We have media blast, we have blackening, we also have by black rhodium, that blackening. We also have solarization on the crown wheel and double solarization on the ratchet wheel. You can see satination on the click. All the screw heads are mirror polished with chamfered slots and circumference. We have a gilded hand-engraved balance cock, and you can see that this watch was number 4 of a limited edition of 20 that's hand-engraved. You can also see that we have incredibly broad mirrored bevels. These are particularly accomplished and impressive, and the fact that many tight confines are internally beveled and feature sharp interior angles. A lot of high-end brands from mass manufacturers will actually just round off bevels in tight confines like this. Pikullik taking no such shortcuts. There's also something intriguing where we have these intermediate bevels where a bridge isn't actually split. This is all one piece here from this side to this side, but you can see how there's sort of a cleft between with a sharp crease separating the bevel of each side. You'll find that again over here where, again, it's deceptive. It's one bridge, but that polished cleft that splits the two sides creates the impression of more than one component, and that's a fascinating and unusual take on traditional anglage, even interior anglage. You can see all the wheels are satinated and quite attractive, and we have a very high-grade balance, the type that you typically get on a top or chronometer grade movement. Worth mentioning, this watch features a stated accuracy by Felipe of no worse than -0 + 5 seconds per 24 hours, so actually considerably better than COSC specification. There is a lot going on here, and it represents best of the best as an original statement by a young, precocious, and I think destined for greatness talent in the field. So yes, the Berlin-based, Brazilian-descended Felipe Pikullik, and this is the Moonphase 1, his first ever complicated watch. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.